Robotic process automation may sound anything but sexy. It's a mouthful, in fact, but it's actually one red-hot sector in tech. It allows companies to automate routine processes, lower costs, reduce errors, and allow employees to focus on more important tasks. Combined with the app machine learning, it could be the gateway to the promise of artificial intelligence. Joining us this morning to talk the rise of machines, cobots, and humans, leader or founder of the Robotic Process Automation Association in the country, Allan Tan. Allan, good morning. Thank you so much
Amy.
for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Sector you're in.
Oh yeah, it's a new sector changing the industry.
And it is changing lives, changing jobs. I want to start with what exactly is it that you do? So you've been coding, you've been creating software for 15 years. This is your love.
I'm engineer by heart.
Engineer by heart. But for the past 3 years, you've founded, in fact, the Robotic Process Automation.
Yes. So basically, I have a vision that computers will change how people work. It's going to change the workforce, and we have to be able to adapt to this changing technology. Otherwise, we will lose our competitiveness. Philippines, as you know, is the #1 BPO center in the world. And we need to retain the competitiveness. And that's where automation comes in. That's why, 3 years ago, we started building our own automation tool so that we can remain competitive as automation, AI, robotics, start to change the workforce.
So what is it exactly that your company does? You create RPAs.
Yes, we created a product called Rack Suite. It's basically an automation tool.
So basically, it's the software, it's a script, it's the brain that tells the machine to do the repetitive.
Yes. So you create scripts. It can automate repetitive work for you. So for example, accounts processing, payroll processing.
So what it does is
the computation.
It extracts from Excel, for example, or
yes, it can extract data from Excel
and then
clean up the data, do computation, and then upload it somewhere else. If you have staff that's doing this repetitively, like 100 times a day, our software can just do it for you automatically. So you're free from this kind of work.
And what sort of cost savings do clients of RPA?
So it depends on the size of the companies. But one of the largest clients we've had, and we've been working on for 2 years, have saved more than 40 million pesos already from automation by freeing up some people, giving them other work, more meaningful, upscaling their work. So in the end, they become more competitive.
When you say freeing up more people, aside from upskilling, giving them more meaningful work, does it also mean letting go of some of the people? Because there is Asian Institute of Management, they came out with a report that said around 800,000 BPO workers could lose their jobs by 2024 because of automation. Put that in context, that's about 80% of all BPO jobs.
Yes, that's true. It is a threat or it's an opportunity. Automation is going to come regardless. If we do not automate, we're going to lose these jobs anyway. Like, other countries, India, China, they'll do the automation and then we'll lose the competitiveness. If we become the forefront in automation, we will be able to retain this work, and then we can upskill our people so that they can do other work. You'll have to understand that the BPO industry globally is larger than what Philippines is doing right now. So if we retain our competitiveness, we'll be able to get projects and more work for the industry.
And when you say more work or projects for the industry, you mean for the human side of the industry?
I guess for both. Repetitive. Because when you automate, it's not like 100% automated.
There are certain parts.
Yeah, there are still parts where you manually do the checking.
Usually when there's decision making as well, huh?
Yes, and some erroneous data that needs manual checking, exceptions that cannot be handled by the piece.
But when you look at the people, are they ready for the upgrade in jobs? Because that's basically what's going to happen.
Yes, that's a very good question. That's the purpose why I started RPA Philippines. We'd like to prepare the workforce to understand what automation is and how it's going to affect their work and how they can upskill. Because without awareness, everybody will be against it. We're going to lose our job. I don't want it. And then they'll come up with so many excuses why automation doesn't work. But if you actually explain to them, what they're going to do after, what's going to happen after, then they'll be more open. And in fact, they'll probably be the one promoting
Let's
automation.
take it from your experience, for example. You have a team of around 80 people.
Yes.
How easy is it to hire software developers and engineers? Most of your team members are engineers.
Yes.
How easy or hard is it to hire?
It's hard to really look for people who are knowledgeable and competitive. Usually, we have to train them. We have to teach them so that
Even if you already get engineers,
yes,
engineering
yeah.
graduates?
Engineering graduates that's usually they have to undergo technology, newer technologies training so that they can actually build enterprise level applications.
So how much are you investing in each new hire, for example, just for them to be ready to do the basic work that you guys do?
So usually like for fresh grads, they have to undergo 3 to 6 months of extensive training.
Okay.
So if you put that in numbers, that's probably around 150,000 to 200,000 pesos worth of training per new hire that we get before they can be actually assigned to the industry or an actual project.
Because that's what we're hearing also from the ground, from the private sector.
Yeah.
You guys feel that you're doing the heavy lifting, at least for now.
Yes. I think the education system needs to be improved to update the curriculum and possibly come up with ways that they can easily adapt newer technology. Because, as you know, the technology sector, it's been changing so fast. But if the school system remains as the pace it is now, we'll not be able to catch up.
So what's wrong? What's stopping these schools from adapting, from changing with the times?
I guess it's familiarity with the new technology, having experience in the industry. The industry is moving much, much faster than the academe. Then you have the professors that you need to train with the newer languages. So it's really a collaboration between the industry and the education
And I also
sector.
heard from some private sector members that the curriculum, it takes years to change the curriculum.
Well,
By
yeah.
the time that the change has been approved, that
It's already
proposed
obsolete.
curriculum has become obsolete.
Yep.
Is that true?
I think so, yeah. Because, as I said, the industry is moving fast, so the curriculum has to update fast also.
Here's a crazy idea. In Singapore, they're pushing for what you call the German model of education. It's a German internship or apprenticeship, they
Right,
call it.
right.
Meaning university life will be made
Yep.
up of 6 months in school, then the rest of the 3.5 years you spent interning in companies, private companies where you learn.
So I think internship will be very helpful. We're seeing more hours being allocated by school in internship, but for me, it's still not enough. You need at least 3 to 6 months of internship. Maybe a decade back, the internship would be like just 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Practically, they won't learn anything. That has been changed now. You're seeing more and more, like a month, 160, 200 hours of internship. But hopefully, they get, to extend this longer.
And let's look at the demand side for your products. Do you see that the rate by which Philippine or local companies are picking up RPA is gaining traction?
We're starting to see traction. Maybe 6 months ago,
Okay.
we started, scouting in the market for like 2 years, and whenever we go out and talk to people, it's like, what's RPA? What's automation? That's always the first question, and we always have to continue to, tell them what it is, what it does. But lately, there's more awareness. So our discussions now go more like, what functions do we offer? What's the benefit that they can get? Rather than really explaining what RPA is about.
There was a Deloitte research, and I think this is U.S., this is for America. It showed that in 2017, 53% of companies in America already started their RPA journey.
Right.
This is expected to go up to 72% by the year 2020 until it achieves a near universal adoption by 2022. Are we going to get left behind?
With the US, we might be left behind. If you look at Japan and the US, they're the forefront in terms of automation. You go out there, you talk to companies, they are familiar what it is about. In the Philippines, I'd say maybe only 10, 15% would be familiar at this time. We have to catch up. There's time. I think the revolution of the automation will take a couple of years. So there's time for us to catch up.
And what sort of investments should local companies be willing to make to start their RPA journey?
Well, I guess changing their mindset,
It's
to
mindset.
really invest in automation, retooling their people, hiring more technical, IT-savvy people to forefront, to spearhead their automation effort.
You mentioned technical IT-savvy people. There's a school of thought now that companies, especially tech companies, will not look for a degree.
Right.
And is that
So,
How you
my
feel?
son, whenever we go out, we just arrived from the US, he knows more about US geography than me. That's because he's keep on watching YouTube. So if probably you have people like, and then watching like how AI, what programming is in YouTube, they can probably do better programming than college degree. But so far, most of the employees we hire are still college graduates.
And plenty of ways to skin a cat. You mentioned that you spend around 150 to 200,000 training a new hire, 3 to 6 months, and before you get your ROI, of course. Is that still cheaper than hiring? I mean,
Of course,
those
like-
with experience.
Yes, so
How much
two
cheaper?
things. One is that experienced hire are definitely more expensive.
By how
They'll
much?
probably get 3-4 times the salary with a fresh grad. So you'll get the cost savings. But secondly, the fresh grads, they're hungry for knowledge. They're hungry for experience. So they're really passionate. They work hard to prove themselves. So you see that you'll be able to develop this culture where people are really working hard, getting things done, than the experienced hire who's already made their accomplishments and probably busy with their family and they have other priorities in life already. So it's a matter of getting the right number of people, the right number of mix into the team so you get a more efficient organization.
Allan, if we talked about this like 10 years ago, people would probably laugh at us and say we're crazy, that robots are going to take over. It's the stuff that science fiction movies are made of, but it's here.
It's here, yeah.
In this industry, from where you stand, where do you see this industry going in the next 10 years? What sort of crazy, in our wild imaginations, what do you see?
So I see
happening
that
10
there
years from
won't
now?
be any repetitive work already. People will just be working more towards on emotions, human interaction, rather than the back office kind of work. I mean, we're seeing self-driving cars, we're seeing home automation. So that's probably gonna be all over the place.
Exciting times ahead.
Yep.
And you're here at the center of it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Allan, for joining us
Thank
this
you,
morning.
Mimi.
Great to have you on the show.
Same here. Thanks for having me.